Hey, what's up guys? A lot of people at school have been asking me about corrective blend shapes, and I showed a lot of people, but I'm continuing to get asked, so I'm going to do this video to hopefully help more of you out. So the goal of a corrective blend shape, I'm going to show you what the goal we're trying to reach is here first. Let me turn off the joints, let me turn off everything, and then go curves and polygons to show you. Okay, so what we're after is this type of deformation right here. So we can see as I rotate in this elbow control, we get a bicep bulge, and we even have it on this side too. So this type of deformation is not possible with simple skin binding to joints. So I'm going to show you how to insert corrective blend shapes into your skin mesh rigs. So let me open up a scene that doesn't have it, and I'll walk you through it. This one. Okay, so here we are in a clean scene with, let me just grab these two FKIK controllers, and whenever these things are too small, we can grab the components and just move them up. You don't want to grab the actual object itself. We want to grab the components, because if you move the object itself, you're moving around the transform, and you don't want to touch the transform node. This is just the shape node, so this is always a safe way to kind of move around your controls when they're too small in your scene. And I just wanted to make those bigger so I could easily select it and turn us to FK so I can show you guys. Okay, so this elbow doesn't have it, and we're gonna make it. So let's put this back to 0. So this is how you would start. Oh, let me turn off some stuff, make it easier to see. Okay, so we want to make our blend shape in the pose that we want to correct it from. So if we wanted to make a corrective blend shape for this bicep, we need to place these into a pose that's going to let us do that. So let me find this rotation, and I'll just do both at once, and I'll show you how it's better to do these both at once, and I'll show you how we can still get the individual sides to go. So I just placed both of those elbows into the desired position, and now we're going to take just the mesh, and we're going to go to the component mode, and a hotkey for that is F9, and I'm going to press B for the soft selection, and I'm just going to try to sculpt this out. And you can see it did on both sides, because I have the mirroring tools on. Just double click the move tool, and you can go down to the mirror settings, and if you haven't seen this, you should really see that right there. World, object topology, whatever works. Use the mirroring tools, because we want these corrective blend shapes on their body to be symmetrical on both sides. So now what we do is we have to send this back to the bind pose. There's a couple ways you could do that. You could just set these controllers back to 0, or you could actually physically go to the skin, have the guy selected first, go to the skin, and then you could go to bind pose. And then this is what we want to get out of that. We want the blend shapes that we want, and we want the decalculated joints. And the reason that we're able to have this is because the tweak node's holding the change. If we change the envelope down to 0, you can see that the tweak node is actually holding that change. So we're gonna duplicate this mesh. We're gonna Shift P to unparent it, and we're going to highlight all the channels, and we're going to unlock them by right-clicking and selecting unlock. And then I'm going to move it over to the side, and then I'm going to file, export selection, and make sure this is unparented before you export your selection. Otherwise Maya is going to give you a whole bunch of stuff from your rig, and you don't want that. So we're gonna ASCII's fine, and we're just going to export that, and we're going to call it, and I was doing this earlier, so I'm going to call this bicep 3, and then we're going to reopen our scene, because we kind of just messed it up with that tweak node stuff. So we're going to reopen our scene, we're going to import that thing that we just made, blend shape bicep 03, and then so this is a good blend shape to start from, but what we need to do is get it on both sides. So we need an individual shape for each of those sides, and right now we only have one. So we're going to take the main body of the guy, we're going to Control D to duplicate it, we're going to click all the channels, we're going to unlock selected, and we're just going to move it upwards like this. I'm going to duplicate it again with I'm going to Shift P to unparent it out of the rig. I'm going to Control D to duplicate it again, and I'm going to move the duplicate over to the side. And this is kind of the like formation that you should be going for. I mean, it doesn't really matter where you put them, as long as, but this just keeps it easier to organize for yourself. So we're going to take the shape with both sides changed, and we're going to apply it. We're going to take the source, the target, and we're going to say create deformers blend shape, and then we're going to do it again to the other one. So we're going to get the target, no, we're going to get the source, the target, create deformers blend shape, and then on these guys we're going to turn on our blend shape because they're off by default. So we're going to set our, you can come to the inputs and you can kind of change it right here, or you can come to window, animation editors, and blend shape. You can do it. You can also get it right there. And one thing I like to do in here is change the orientation to horizontal, and then it's kind of easier to whatever. Okay. So now you're in a situation where you've got two blend shape meshes with both of the sides deformed. Now how do we get the side that we want? So we're going to select half the vertices from the front view, and we're going to paint the weights off one side. So it doesn't have to be perfect because we're just doing the arms, we're not doing the face. If you're doing the face, this would have to be a perfect selection. So now that we have half of those vertexes selected, I'm going to turn off my soft selection. I'm going to right click on the guy, and I'm going to go down to paint. I'm going to come to blend shape, and I'm going to go to base weights, and I have half the selection already. So I'm going to come over to the tool bar and double click the paint settings, and now I'm going to make sure I'm in replace. I'm going to make sure that this value says 0, and I'm going to flood. And now that blend shape is only being applied to half of this mesh. And I'm going to do the same thing over to this guy. So I'm going to go to the front view. I'm going to select the opposite side this time of what I want, and just clean up the selection a tiny bit. Okay, and I'm going to right click the model. I'm going to go to paint, blend shape, base weights, go to base weights, and then make sure this says replace. Make sure the value is 0 because we want to put 0 value onto the selected verts, and we're going to flood. So flood just makes it have 100%. So now we have two meshes that have the bulge on this arm, and then this one has the bulge on this arm. And now we can delete the history off of these two because we don't want this blend shape input coming in from this guy. So you can take this, and you can go to edit, delete by type, history, or you can take this guy and go Shift Alt D on your keyboard. D is in dog, and it will get rid of your history the same exact way. And now we don't need the double guy. So now now these guys are our perfect, awesome blend shape that we didn't need any script to get, because scripts that make these are great, but every year Maya changes something about the meld commands, and suddenly your scripts will not work anymore because the commands have changed. So it's good to know these sort of manual workarounds and to know what is kind of going on anyway. And you should really know how to paint those blend shape weights anyway. So we're going to take source, target. So the source, and the target, and then we're going to go to hold spacebar, go to create deformers blend shape, and now I'm going to start doing some work on this guy. So first let's test out our deformation to see if it worked out. So we're going to go to our blend shape. We're going to click on the model. We're going to come to the channel box, and in the inputs, our new input is the blend shape. So so I activated one of the blend shapes. It's bulged out this bicep, and now I'm going to come to our FK controller, and it's not on. I'm going to come to the IKFK switcher, turn it on to FK, take this arm, and rotate it. And you'll notice that it doesn't seem to be actually doing anything, because right now our skin is actually completely under the control of that blend shape. Nothing we do right now is really going to change that because the blend shape is on. So you've actually lost complete control, but we're going to change our deformation in order to fix that. So I'm going to put that arm back. I'm going to select our mesh. I'm going to right click on the mesh, and I'm going to say inputs, and I'm going to go down to the bottom where it says all inputs. So you right click on your model and you go to inputs, all inputs, and this is how you change your Maya deformation order of what it's evaluating first. So right now it's evaluating the blend shape first and then the skin cluster and then the tweak node. We want it to be evaluating the skin cluster and then the blend shape. Well, the skin cluster, then the tweak node, then the blend shape. And this doesn't really tell you, but you kind of just have to know. You kind of just middle mouse click on the blend shape and drag it down till that little white dotted line shows up, and then when you drag it down there, it'll reorder. That's how you reorder your deformers. So we can close that, and now we should see that even though this blend shape is on right now, we can see, and it's actually been listed differently in the inputs. Even though this blend shape is on right now, I can turn it off. And when I rotate this control, we now have that deformation back. And when we turn off our blend shape, so it's really all about applying the blend shape from a straightened position. The reason you have to do it from the straightened position is because we need to decalculate the joint so we can calculate it with the joint back again and then use our blend shape. Basically, you have to do that, go back to bind pose part, or it double transforms over itself. So the whole tricky part about this really was getting these bulges to come out and then having the arms be straight, and then the tweak node was holding the changes, so that's what made this work. Then to activate this all the time while we're animating, we don't want to have the animator come in and select this and then do that every time, and we're going to do a set driven key. There's probably a couple other ways to do it, but I think set driven key is the easiest right now to kind of show you guys. So set driven key, set, and then you can't just select the guy and then say load driven. You're not going to see the blend shape. You have to select the guy and select the actual blend shape node. So you can do that. An easy way to do, and there's a couple ways to do that. This way is you select the blend shape word in here, and you've actually selected that node, and then you can actually come to delete and delete that node. But we're not going to do that. We're going to load driven from having that selected, and now we can see the blend shapes in there. Another way to do that, if you don't remember that, let's close this for a second. I'll go to animate, set driven key, set, and then it's in that blend shapes thing. So you go to animation editors, blend shape, and then there's a select button in the blend shape, so you could select the blend shape, and it does the same exact thing. It shows you those two things, and you could load them into the driven. Now we don't want to use the controller rotation to drive that on. We want to use something that the IK and the FK controllers can talk to, and they're not really going at the same time. So I'm going to try and use one of the bind joints as the driven. So we're going to take the bind joint right there, and it's nice because this actually has the one number. Sometimes you'll be going through this and you'll see that. Okay, I'll just show you. In the attribute editor, a good way to do this. This is a little weird, but bear with me. Okay, so elbow result, copy tab down here in the attribute editor. If you click that, it'll give you an attribute, a modeless attribute window, and then you can go back to your channels and you can watch something else change and see how it affects another thing. So if I rotate this elbow control, this is not a good candidate for our driver because it's got 3 numbers moving every time it rotates, which isn't good. So we want to try and find a joint that only has one clean, nice number changing when we rotate that. So the bind joint is the good one. So I'm gonna go to prove that to you. I'm gonna go to the copy tab while that joint is selected, and I'm just showing you this because you got to be able to drive the blend shape from something that's clean. So this elbow joint is only moving, we can see that it's only moving in one number. So that's perfect to drive our blend shape with. So we're going to take that, I think it was this, we're going to say load driver, rotate Y, and then I think I didn't name you should name those shapes that you duplicate out, because it's getting these names as the blend shape and it's listing it in your blend shape input, and it can be really hard to deal with if you've got like 30 blend shapes and they all say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have no idea. So name those out. It's going to help you. And now that I'm trying to test which one is the bulge on this arm. So it's the top one. Okay, good. And then I'm going to undo. Wow, I'm messing up all over. Okay, so this is the 2, and I'm gonna rotate. I don't want to start it all the way from over there. I'm gonna start it from like, whoa, which one is it? It's this one. Okay, so I'm gonna start it from like here, and I'm gonna key that, and then I'm gonna move this in tighter. Whoa, not so tight that it breaks. And then I'm gonna come to the blend shape and just turn it up to the 1. And now we got the bulge in, and then I'm gonna key that. And now you're actually done now. That was the meat of it. So now you've got this bulge. So as a recap, I'm just gonna do the other side real quick. So 0, and we need the bind joint from this side. So we're gonna press F in the outliner to frame those up, and then we're gonna take the elbow bind joint 1, and we're gonna load it into the driver, and then we're gonna take the 2, and then we're gonna, okay, so we're actually set up now, I think. Okay, so let's take the I gotta switch into the, well, you could do this in either one, but it's just easier for me to do it in the FK, I think. So let's go here. Whoa, let's go about, got all sorts of numbers. Okay, so these started about, I think that was where we started. You should know the number it starts from. I'm just doing this real quick. So let's key this. Let's take this and let's rotate it in some more, and let's take our blend shape and let's turn that up to 1, and let's key that. And now when we have our rotate, I think it'll work. Okay, there we go. Yay. Okay, so that's how you do corrective blend shapes. And you could do this for shoulders. I've seen people do about 12 of them for like a circle around the shoulder. I just did one for another girl's thesis where she wanted her character to sit down, and the butt like was totally not looking right. So I did create a collective blend shape for that character's butt and the pants that it was wearing. And the pants were and it was being driven by the it was being driven by the rotation of the leg, and the basically what I did was I made these vertexes come down, and then I took the inner part so that it wouldn't come through her geometry. I basically took her inner part that was underneath these shorts like this. I took the scale tool, I held down the scale tool R to go to normal average, and then I just kind of like sucked it in, and then that was a blend shape. So then that was a blend shape that would get activated when the character sat down, and then it wouldn't come to the pants anymore. So that was that's a little tip for you on butts and hips, which are a really hard place, and shoulders are a really tough place. Biceps are a common place to put these. Yeah, and even when you're doing face blend shapes, you're not doing like a corrective, you're kind of doing just a blend shape at all, but it's still nice to know that you can select half of it, and I'm on mirroring mode right now or something, so it's not working, so I'm going to turn, it's just, I just really want you guys to know that you can take this, go to paint, go to the blend shape, and just like flood half of it off, because if you don't know that, then you're always going to be kind of reliant on like scripts and stuff to do it for you, and you should really, a lot of the stuff that the scripts are doing can be done manually. And it's better to know the manual way and still use the script later, because I think I said it before, those scripts, they're not going to work one day, or you're just not going to have it, or you're going to be out somewhere and they're not going to have it and you're trying to show somebody or whatever, and it's good to know these manual techniques and how to manipulate your deformers. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope this helps out someone somewhere. Thanks.